Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
John Riggio back with us. It's so great to have him back here on the podcast and Zoomcast as an architect who does residential, commercial, amazing projects, a lot through my area, New York, New Jersey, the tri-state, but he is world renowned also, let alone with his architecture field, but now also with the tennis field, because I didn't know for months we spoke that him being such a famous architect, let alone, wait a sec, he had a whole nother career before this as a pro tennis player. And over the next few months, I got to learn more and more about this career. And today I'm excited we're going back to it, a little show and tell of the rackets. And I know you're going to have some great stories as well from the past and moving forward. So John Riggio, thanks for being back here.
Yes, hi, nice to see you, Jill. How's everything?
It's great. Thank you so much. Great to be back and excited to have you back. And I know today you want to highlight the tennis.
Yes, I have more tennis stories to say, and the first story I'd like to talk about is when in 1987, when I was at the tennis center, I had my own court 33, and I had did this whole thing. I started to play really excellent, and there was the coach there who was really called the captain of the team at that location at the tennis center, and in New York City, and his was Vitas Gerulaitis. So he had some top players that really wanted to try to get into playing ATP tennis and playing tennis at the tennis center, get on the ATP tour. And I was really the one who was going to test them. So I played a bunch of players from the USA. Some were the number one collegiate player, number one ITF player, different kinds of players that were maybe recommended by a coach somewhere in the US that they could make it in the pros. So out of the players, I was to select one of them. I played all of them. I was able to beat all of them, but I did select one player, and he turned out to be a good kid in the sense. And what happened was he was forwarded over to the next coach, and they had some ATP tour matches going on, and so he started to play with them. But unfortunately, at that location, like I had said, there was some friction there between the people there playing, and I think he was playing there, and then Vitas came back, and to my surprise, he was saying, yeah, they thought that he was an excellent player. But what happened was he seemed to have got himself into a little like a scuffle with the coach. He had a little argument, and I think there was some improprieties going on by the what was going on with the coach there. And what happened was he was told not to come back there, to leave. And I didn't talk to this player again ever since I had referenced him over there. But what happened was he then, I was told, had to he went to court. He brought them to court in a very serious way. And he was successful by bringing him to court.
Wow.
And what they did was they gave him an extension, and they moved him over to one of the other camps in the area to play ATP tennis. And this information came about after years of me playing. I was playing over at Sutton East in the city, and he came over to the court to play some matches, and that's when I was told the rest of the story, what happened. And he tells me he is still playing on the ATP tour. They have him playing on ATP tour, and I think that is one great success that I selected this one player. He started to play there, even though he met some initial problems with the people there. He was able to continue to play at another camp. They had him on tour for a number of years, and he stayed playing in the ATP, which is really very good, very successful to do that. I mean, for him to have been someone who was really, they were recommending to give it a try to play the ATP tennis, to get over to the tennis center, and I selected him to go there, and he did make it. I think Vitas did select one other player
Mm-hmm.
to make it, but he did not. He wasn't successful, and so that is what happened. And so that was an interesting story. And I want to say that because that was really another thing about my playing. I was able to really see that he was a good player, and that he was a good person who played there, didn't do strange things, and then he was able to continue in the league. So that was really good. So then I think the next story, which was really at that same time that I didn't talk about, but was really in the newspapers. There was a story in the newspapers, a couple sport people, Mike Lupica and Bob Kaplish, that were sport reporters over at the New York Post. And this came about the same time about them telling me, to try to get some articles in the paper.
Mm-hmm.
So I talked to Mike Lupica, and he talked to me, he gave me like a 5-minute interview, but he has suggested to call over to the main office and see if I get like maybe a little article just describing that I'm a up and coming pro player at the tennis center, and that's about it. Very simple. So I said, okay. So I call over to his manager, and he sets up to call over to Mike Lupica, and I talked to him, and but the interview and article never goes ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And then they passed me over to the next guy, Bob Kaplish, and
Okay.
same thing happened. The article didn't go ahead, and then the manager passed me over to a third female news reporter, and that one didn't go ahead. So then when I ended up calling back to the manager over there at the New York Post, he was very upset. He was really upset, and he was saying that they were not listening to what he says, and he thought the same thing, that maybe they were gonna have to change news reporters there at his newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when, like, just maybe a few weeks later, I was reading the newspaper that Mike Lupica, Bob Kaplish, they all decided to leave the Post and move to the Daily News. And that was so I have a news article which is very interesting. Let me share this with you.
Yeah.
And this is okay. So this here shows uh just the written proof that in that exact year, 1987, it shows that this news reporter moved from the New York Post to the Daily News. Very
Okay.
simple. I mean, it can happen to anyone. They change jobs. It doesn't mean
Mm-hmm.
anything. And so that's when that happens. And I think this is an official biography of different news reporters they have all kinds of news reporters, sport reporters. This is an official biography here, and and this shows in the exact year here, and they don't put an exact date on it, but it's heading between 1985 to like 1989, and then this here, let me get the other page,
Mm-hmm.
is this one.
By the way, John Riggio,
Yes,
tell us your
yes.
website, by the way.
Oh, yes, my web page, you can go to
How do
my Facebook page.
Yep.
It is John Riggio, Pro Tennis Player. And I'm there. It has a link to my web page listing all kinds of interesting facts about my tennis playing and things like that. And then on the Facebook page, you can like the page. And
Okay.
I have all kinds of photographs and different things about my sport playing. And so this is the other reporter here. Was back here, and it shows here that he was working for the Post, and he left. Here they have a more exact date in 1987, showing that he left at the same time. So this, and then moved to the Daily News. So that is just some written proof that I have, just to show that that was the exact time that happened, and that happened like in the middle of the summer of 1987. This
Mm-hmm.
happened. This is exactly what was going on, and this is very interesting. This is the official archives here shown in says here, Biographical Dictionary of New York Sports. And this is very good. So that is proof on that. So then I think the next thing I was showing some tennis rackets, and I think at that time, this is a good time to show some of these rackets.
Sure.
One of them is I was able to pick up a used racket from college. And this is from the University of Tennessee. See, it has a T on it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is from the University of Tennessee. And if you notice, it doesn't have any markings. It
Ah,
has no markings. And this is what I had discovered before, that it's not allowed to show any brand name. They're not allowed to show any
really?
brand name. It's completely what they call a blacked out racket.
Okay.
And this racket is really a racket that's made by Gamma. And I think this having no description on it that's made by Gamma is somewhat reminds me of when I was younger, of when I was told that Gamma makes excellent tennis rackets. And I had some Gamma rackets, like blacked out Gamma rackets like this when I was young.
Mm-hmm.
This is And this one is used in the cottage tennis by the University of Tennessee there. So that is one racket. That was a good example. Then the next racket I have is the other very nice Pro Stock racket. Let me just get this out. I took the wrapper off of it. And this is another one that is typical of a Pro Stock racket. It's blacked out. They did spray the Dunlop
Cute.
on here. And it just has a very indescript bottom. It's not very colorful or anything. And it has a leather grip,
Mm.
which is something of a Pro Stock type of racket that's usually made stiffer,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a smaller head racket. So this is typical of a racket that I would use when I was playing. It's a blacked out racket. And even though these are excellent rackets, I did break the rackets. I used to break them. They used to break over here. And that's one very nice example. And then I think at that time also, to complement those, when I was playing with the Prince Racket Company, they always gave me like two of these. They always
Hmm.
gave me these, threw in a couple of extra rackets for me. And sometimes I really had to rely on these too. If my other racket
Mm-hmm.
broke, I had a couple of these to use. And this racket wasn't too bad back then. It had this mid support. And this helped it a little, that it wasn't really going to break. The older style rackets also had a leather grip. This is a natural leather grip. And I think this racket, I bought it used, and for some time it has a real crack in it too.
Okay.
Someone cracked it, and I think
Oh.
you can see that this material is really powdered metal, usually with graphite, and then they heat
Mm-hmm.
it up to high temperature. But it is able to crack, and which isn't wrong. I mean, if it reaches a certain kind of like a bending, it would break. So it isn't that bad. Then just to add on to that, I think just to further explain that the other one was the Gamma, and this is a newer style Gamma that they have, which isn't too bad. This is very similar to the a Babolat Aero racket.
Mm-hmm.
It looks the same. It has same kind of structure to it, and this is all on here. This is pretty good. And then I think one more was this racket was another racket which is called Precision by Dunlop, and this is a racket. I used to play with these. They used to give me these to play with. I used to use them. This one has just like a regular thing on it, and this is pretty good. It's a pretty strong racket. I think this one is can go up to 62 pounds, which isn't too bad. 62 pounds. I think 62 pounds is the maximum. My rackets, I didn't string anything over 62 pounds. I think, but the maximum at 62 is pushing it where the racket can crack, can break. So usually like 65 on the frame strength is usually better. And then if you were to string it to maybe 62, that gives you an extra 3 pounds where the racket frame might not break, and that is usually how it works.
Hmm.
And I think that just from the past, I think there was a few interesting things. I think I was remembering more names I used to propose all kinds of player names. I think one was John Stair was a good name to go with. I think that was a good name. And then I think it was just I always used to go through all kinds of different names, and they would propose them through the tennis. And I think I was able to find a very nice uh, proof of the tennis card. Let me show you the tennis card. I have proof of the tennis card. So this player is a player. I see his name is Jeff Borowake. And I
Hmm.
think it says here, you see it says ATP. And it just shows like his one picture here and another picture on the court. And
Ooh.
it just says his basic things, his date of birth, where he was born, where he's living, his height, his weight,
Mm-hmm.
and there's just a couple other things. And that's really just like the basic player card. That's really all that is. That's
Oh my
different than, say,
goodness.
a sport trading card. A sport trading card is a little different. So that is there. So this is a good example of a player card. Different
Do
than
we
a.
have your player card?
In fact, I used to have my player card. In fact, I left it where I was living,
Oh,
but
okay.
I know people who still have my card. I know some people who have my card, but I don't know if I'm ever going to see them. There are a number of cards out. I have a few player cards. In fact, but I didn't keep any type of thing for myself with the player cards,
Mm.
and so I don't really have them. Maybe one day they will show up on the internet. I don't know where they are, but
Okay.
then I think yes. So I think one other thing was from back then there was and this is the thing about playing tennis. And one thing about playing tennis is if you're playing tennis, there's um no team playing in playing tennis. You're playing your own
Mm-hmm.
game. So I think when I was younger, it was an interesting thing about playing tennis and getting influenced by playing tennis, playing on your own, not having any like defense team to help you. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of team sports, they have different players. A player can replace you, they can play for you. But I think a comparison sport to get influenced by was watching motorcycle racing. And I think that is one thing that was interesting when I was younger was they were saying if you watch motorcycle racing, you
Hmm.
can play tennis better. It might influence you to play tennis better. If you
Really?
watch, excuse me, if you watch team sports, you might have a mindset that if you're playing and you're near the end of the match, that somehow someone's going to come in and it's going to hold the game, and so that influence isn't that good. I think if you were to watch a sport on television like motorcycle racing, you can get an influence about them starting off at the start of the race, trying to stay in front of the whole race, and then ending up as number one at the end of the race. I mean, that is the idea. And it's very similar to tennis. If you were to get ahead early, it's easier and you could stay ahead. And then from there, you can then very possibly win the match. So that is good. Let's give me 1 second. Okay. All right. And so that is one interesting thing. And I think that is something that was very interesting. In fact, when I was younger, they did have all kinds of sports television. I used to always watch different television. I did used to watch some of the motorcycle racing. And But I was told that in fact does influence your mind in a good way to play tennis. Because if you get an idea of starting off, trying to get the lead, and then finishing off at the very end, passing the finish line is very similar to playing tennis. You really have to be very concentrated in your mind playing. You have to really concentrate very hard and to really play the game. You cannot let your mind go off at all playing, which is a very similar influence to watching those kind of sports. So I think that was good. And I also have some interesting things here. I was looking at researching, and I found some players that I used to talk to that were in Japan. And let me see if I can get that on here. This is let's see where this is. Okay. Okay, good. This is here. I want to make sure it's correct. Okay. Okay, so I think if you could see this here, this is some people from Japan
Oh, wow.
playing tennis. And so these are some of the people that I had talked to. And I think so I was
Wow.
looking around for them, and this is the players here. This is Nishio, and this is one of the players there.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to look around, and I think this is translated from Japanese. It's really originally Japanese written a web page.
Cool.
I mean, this one interesting thing that I was able to locate. And then I think while I'm here, I can go on to the Facebook page. Let's go on to the Facebook page.
I'm still here.
Okay,
Exciting.
let me just
I
get to
love
the,
this
the
stuff.
main page. Let's see what, yeah. Okay. Okay, so this here is okay, here. Okay, so this is my page here, and it's pretty good. My followers are growing here, and it isn't too bad. I think if someone were to go onto my webpage, they can look at this. I have all the videos of this here,
Mm-hmm.
and I have some nice photographs. This is some nice photographs, and I think not to get away from the entertainment, I have a picture of one of my friends when I was younger. She was a girlfriend, and then when I was playing with Perot, she was there, and uh, we were going through some nice things with pairing together in the entertainment, and I think this is her picture here. That's what she looks like.
Beautiful.
And I think I have pictures here of McLaren.
I've seen that one.
Yes, yes. And
Oh,
then I have here. This was there's some pictures showing the. This is where we played with Perot, and they used the building here with the lockers and everything. So that was pretty good. And that also is where the team from Japan came, which
wow.
included Indonesia,
Mm-hmm.
included other countries, South Korea, um, the Philippines. So I played all the teams in the Pacific that were eligible to play. That they came and they played here at this location. And I think from this picture you can see they set up some tents over here on this side.
Mm-hmm.
And I played over here, and I came and played on these courts here. So that's where that took place. And this here is an old map I was able to find, and I think it shows here writing on this here on the bottom right of this picture. It says right here, court 33. So that was my court 33.
Aw.
And so that was pretty good. And so I think really just one thing about Court 33, just to give you an idea of why would I have Court 33, why would it mean anything? Very few people have their own court. Almost all
Ah.
the players, they have to wait in the parking lot
Mm-hmm.
to play a match.
Got it.
When they're called to play a match, they get out of their car,
Got
they
it. Yep.
walk into the center, walk over to say my court 33, play the match, and then they have to leave. And if they
Mm-hmm.
got to play another match in the afternoon, they have to go back to their car. So having my own court at court 33 was really indication I was winning a lot of matches, was an excellent player, and that is really why I was there on my own court 33. So I think that is just really an idea of what was happening there.
Nice.
And I think this is just a enlarged picture of that there. And this is my picture here in recent years, maybe just like a year or two ago, playing on the courts in the Thomas Edison Park here. And this one is in the court that is really near the Menlo Park. And then this is the tennis bubble of Staten Island. And the tennis bubble is made pretty good. They have the new LED lights these days. So the lighting is a little brighter. It's pretty good. It looks like they are improving the tennis bubbles a little. The tennis bubbles were the newest thing when I started. That's why everyone, whenever a player would move up, they would get their own tennis bubble. And the idea of getting another kind of tennis facility wasn't really the number one idea. It was really this tennis
Mm-hmm.
bubble. So they still using these tennis bubbles. And this is a photograph of the air. And this shows the just a Dunlop ATP tennis ball. Because I think the word ATP, a lot of people with tennis, they know USTA.
Yeah.
They don't really know the ATP. ATP is really like saying NFL or Major League Baseball. It's exactly the same. And this here, oh, this is a picture of Goldman Brothers. I used to special order some of my tennis sneakers from Goldman Brothers. And to the left is where my tennis sponsors business location was. The Patrick Mulrooney. That's just to the left of this. It says here like 183, just to the left. He had his own shop right in this
Wow.
building, the Goldman Brothers.
Oh my
And
gosh.
that is where all my tennis rackets came from, all my sporting equipment that he gave me, and it is its own pro shop. And
Beautiful.
then in the Goldman Brothers is usually just for open to
Mhm.
the public to buy things there. I think if someone knew they could go in there and they could buy it. I mean, you go there, you buy $1,000 sweatsuit is a lot, and
Yeah.
so that's the only thing. You're going there, you're getting things very expensive. Okay, this here. Yeah, when I was younger, I played such good tennis. They thought maybe I was a card shark playing
Ah!
tennis. I mean, they couldn't believe what was going on. This here is just over here in the Rahway Park because they have very nice lights at night. And this is my tennis group. It's a lot of people like to just play the doubles. And this is just some picture of some of the players here. Oh, there's myself there. I'm right here playing and just playing on the court, just playing some doubles.
Wow.
And this is over here at the park too. Have my hat on.
Amazing. Looking
And
good.
this was another car. This is the car at the Sutton East that they leased this car for me, and it had stayed in front of the tennis center. Was this black Mercedes Benz? It was
Beautiful.
very expensive, and this is really what this is the car that how it looks. Oh yeah, this is just things just to have pictures of some old rackets and things like that. These are some rackets I had showed on some other show.
Yeah, I
Some old
remember.
tennis rackets. This just some pictures of those old snapshots. I'm still working on getting some more old snapshots. I
Uh-huh.
think I had described some of them I had watched. This is just showing some pictures. And this is these pictures are my learning. These are all people just learning how to play tennis. So I have these courses. I have
Can we do a
one,
live show
two,
one day and
three.
you could teach me?
Sure. Yes. Yes.
Seriously, let's do a show that way.
Sure. Yeah, I could do that. And I have one, two, three. I have a lot of people here in the
Yeah.
Wednesday morning. They're in the process of renovating this whole park right now.
Mm-hmm.
So we moved it over. I moved it over to the New Brunswick Park.
Okay, I was just gonna ask where. Okay.
This one here is the Thomas Edison Park.
Okay.
And you see all these people. So I start them off with the lesson, some stretches, and then I get them on the courts. They start learning how to play. We're using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 courts there. There's a lot of
Amazing.
people. This is a lot of people showed up and they're all learning how to play tennis.
John, we love it. All right. Well, I apologize.
And
We're
then
out of
this
time.
yes. And then this last picture
No,
is
go, go, go,
showing
go, go.
the
We're
bubble.
already
This
over.
shows that bubble on Sutton East. I think you
Yes,
see
I've
Sutton
seen
East?
that before.
Yes, it's really like one block.
That's the 59th Street Bridge, right?
Yes, yes. And this entrance here still says Sutton East right there.
So for you listening and maybe out of town, this is in New York City. So Sutton East, when was that built?
They had built it not too long ago because those tennis bubbles they haven't been around too long. I think they only started in 19 like
So is that a
75.
permanent structure or no?
But
Is
what's
it?
happening? This tennis bubble is much larger than a usual tennis bubble. What it is, it's one tennis bubble, but I don't remember the exact number. I think it has 6 tennis bubbles inside, and one of them is mine. The one with the entrance that says Sutton East is the one they built for me, and my bubble is the first bubble in there. That's the private. The other one is a public area around it on the other side.
Amazing.
Yes,
We got to talk more about this next time. Can we start with this? Yeah, we're way over. I got to go to the next show, but this is awesome. This is
okay.
fascinating.
So this entrance is the entrance that they made just for me. And this entrance goes into the first bubble is my bubble. That was the bubble. It's still there, and people go there. You can rent a court.
Just for me. Look at this, guys. We are with our tennis pro,
Yes,
John Riggio.
this entrance is my own entrance years ago. I used to go in there, and that was really the pro tennis center.
Amazing. John, how do we reach you again? Tell us the Facebook page.
Yes, just go to my Facebook page. It is John Riggio Pro Tennis Player. And there you'll see photographs. I have a link to my webpage listing my tennis experiences, and you'll really be interested to watch it.
Beautiful. Thanks so much. Always a pleasure having you here. Always full of information. And boy, oh boy, I love this, the bubble. I got to find out more about the tennis bubble next week. I have more questions, but congrats on a successful career and all you do. And reach out to John. Start training and stretching with him. Go ahead. He's in New Jersey. Bye, guys.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.